It's a stage from birth to about 2 years of age when the child's behaviors are largely based on their perception of things. For example, during the early stages of a child's life, they're not able to think about or understand things that are not at their immediate attention, which makes them focus mainly on things or people that they're seeing or interacting with in that particular moment.
How would you say that infants learn about what's around them?
They simply interact with the environment around them. They use schemas to learn exactly what is in their environment, and they learn from that, and are then able to develop an understanding about the environment around them.
Do you believe that the development of a child aids in expanding their cognitive skills?
Yes, I very much believe that. As a child gets older and has a chance to develop and learn from their experience, their cognitive skills will also develop and grow along with them.
Now, as I understand it, there are 6 sub-stages encompassed into the sensory motor stage of a child's life. Can you briefly explain their characteristics?
Of course. In the first stage, children are learning to control their own reflexes such as sucking. In the second, they focus on their reflexive habits, meaning they'll learn to do things over and over, such as grabbing their feet again and again, and just doing things very repetitively. At the third stage, children are more in tune with objects around them rather than being focused on their own selves through their actions, though their actions are still mostly involuntary. The fourth stage is all about control. By this time, they can now intentionally make things happen, such as pushing a button to make a toy light up. At this stage, they also are able to understand object permanence. And in the fifth stage, children are really interested in objects around them, and they'll experiment with them to see what new behavior does to these objects, or what they can make these objects do with their different behaviors. And the last stage, a child's mental capacity is now able to take on more tasks, which allows them to pass into the pre-operational stage of life.
Very interesting. Thank you, Dr. Piaget, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
The day, let's welcome Lawrence Colbert. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How would you say children develop in your first stage of development?
Stage 1 is the punishment, avoidance, and obedience state, where children will make a decision based on what's best for them, and it does not concern anyone else.
Does the way you raise an infant affect their moral development?
Yes, children know what they are doing and think through their decisions that they are making. Therefore, the way someone raises a child would affect how that child will make decisions in the future. Although I do believe that children will make decisions on their own without adult consent.
Do infants apply to your theory of the 6 stages, or does the stages depend on a certain age?
Infants are not yet developed, nor do they know what morals are. But usually around the age of 3 is when children know what they are doing is right or wrong.
What is a sign that infants know what they are doing is wrong?
All children are different, but some infants might say, uh-oh, or they'll be loud and distressed during certain situations.
Thank you, Dr. Colbert.
Thank you.
For the second half of our show, we are going to talk about something that I know is on the mind of all you parents out there: the development of your babies. Our next guests are going to give you the lowdown on what is going on with your little baby and how they should be progressing. Here to discuss the physical domain is renowned pediatrician Dr. Colleen Fry.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Fry. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What important information do you have for new parents?
Well, every infant develops at a different pace. If your child is not crawling when others are at the same age, don't push your baby. They will hit their milestones when their bodies are ready.
What kind of physical developments should we be looking for in infants?
From birth to age 2, children should begin to develop motor skills such as rolling over, sitting, crawling, standing, and even walking. They will be able to reach and grab things by developing and coordinating small muscles of the hands and eyes. Children will start to reach for things around 3 to 4 months in development.
Are there trends to development?
There's the cephalocodal, which means that children will develop their skills from their head to their feet. There's also the proximodistal trend, which means that we will develop from the inside out. So arms, then hands, then fingers. We will see rapid growth changes in the proportions of the body, parts that pretty much follow a growth trend that has been previously developed.
Is there any way to tell if there are problems with the physical development?
If they are not following the growth trend, that would suggest that there is something wrong, such as malnutrition or some type of health issue. Also, there are certain reflexes that occur, such as babies tend to flare their arms and legs when they hear a loud sound. If that doesn't occur, then that suggests there is not normal neurological development. The best way to keep track of normal development is to monitor sleeping, eating, drinking, and other such habits that have formed to be sure that there are no abnormalities.
What is some important information you have for new parents?
For example, little Maya over here is almost a year old, but she has weak abdominal muscles and is still not crawling. This is alarming to new parents, but almost all babies catch up at their own pace.
Thank you, Dr. Fry.
Thank you.
Okay, next let's bring out our early education teacher to discuss our baby's cognitive development. Please welcome Jessica. As a teacher, what would you say is the best way to help a child's cognitive skills grow?
I would say that the best way to allow a child's cognitive growth is to let them explore the world around them. They need to be able to make new experiences for themselves in order for them to learn. By exploring for themselves, children then are able to reinforce and develop major skills such as gross motor skills that are vital to develop at such a young age.
How could you better your child's gross motor skills?
I would first start by telling a parent that it starts in their home. Interacting with your child and helping them to develop their gross motor skills is very important so they are able to maneuver with ease. For example, crawling, clapping, or walking. When a child begins preschool, we try to develop their motor skills by using repetitive activities that help the child to develop muscle memory.
Thank you, Jessica. Lastly, I'm here with a fellow mom to discuss the emotional and social development of our babies. Please welcome O'Hara.
Hi, Erica. When Maya was little, her main emotions were contentment, interest, and distress. But after she turned about 6 months old, she got much more complicated. I had read that fear and anger can develop between 6 months to a year, but I have not seen that yet. Does Bradley exhibit those behaviors?
Yes, Bradley has shown both of these emotions. He shows anger when I take away a toy from him or something that I don't want him playing with, such as an electric plug. He'll start screaming. He has also shown signs of fear when there is a startling noise, such as the one made by my coffee grinder. He also exhibits fear with showing separation anxiety when I step out of his sight.
You know, I noticed at Maya's daycare that when one baby starts crying, they all start crying.
I've also noticed that. Apparently that phenomenon is called emotional contagion.
Several emotional characteristics have appeared in our little babies that are common to infant development. Attachment behavior is one, usually to a parent. Separation anxiety from a parent, and self-soothing.
Yes.
So Bradley, right now, is sucking on his finger. It's a form of self-soothing. Does he demonstrate any of these other behaviors? How is he with caregivers?
Bradley is definitely attached to his caregivers. He cries when his father or I leave for work. He also cries more with new caregivers. In terms of self-soothing behavior, when he is tired and fussy, he will find something to put in his mouth and suck on. This seems to be a coping mechanism for him and calms him down.
Social referencing is another interesting social thing that babies can do. It's where they reflect the behavior of their caregivers. I have the cutest example of this. One day, Maya's dad said something really funny, and I started laughing really loud, and then all of a sudden, she started laughing too.
Oh, I bet that was cute. Bradley seems to be quite a social little guy. What is Maya's temperament like?
Her activity levels vary. Sometimes she's high energy, sometimes she's low energy, but she's pretty sociable. She likes to smile at everyone and isn't afraid of new people. She's pretty adaptable too. She doesn't mind new environments and new baby friends like Bradley here. I think part of this is just her temperament and how she was born, and I think part of it is I've traveled a lot with her.
Well, infants sure are lots of fun. It looks like we are out of time for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Baby Talk. Keep loving the babies in your life.
Are you ready to hammer?